The night I walked into Augustine's and watched a billionaire forget how to breathe, I knew the story I'd been living was about to flip. Funny how one dinner can yank the rug and lay down a new one, right? But that's what happened to me, the girl at the corner desk. Everyone called plain like it was a name tag. The one who wore big glasses with no prescription hair, knotted so tight it could hold a roof beam. Sweaters that said nothing. All of it by design. All of it. Armor I built after one too many rooms, treated looks like a headline, and my ideas like a footnote. So I dimmed the lights, did the work, kept the company running, while folks walked by me like I was part of the furniture, and I told myself I was fine because safe is a convincing liar. Then, on a quiet Thursday, the building humming like an empty church, my boss stepped out of his glass office with the city shining behind him and said my name differently, softer, like he'd turned down the volume on everything else. Lena. Would you have dinner with me tomorrow? Not work, just dinner. He scribbled the address like it was 1998 and slid the note across my desk, and I stared like a rookie because Cole Harrington didn't do impulsive. He did forecasts and flawless. But there he was, and there I was, hearing that old alarm say run, while something braver said stay. I said yes, voice wobbling, palms sweating, heart thudding like a faulty dryer. And when the elevator doors closed behind him, I held that little square of paper like a live wire and whispered, enough. I went home and made the choice I'd been avoiding for 3 years. I set the glasses on the dresser and met my own eyes. I shook my hair loose and felt it fall like it had been waiting for permission. I pulled a green dress from the back of the closet, the one my sister said was me if I ever let me out. I did makeup that didn't erase anything. It just clocked in my features for a real shift. I looked in the mirror and didn't see a costume. I saw a woman who was done apologizing for existing in full color. And yeah, fear showed up with a whole choir. But under it there was a steady drum saying, it's time. So I listened. Augustine's smelled like garlic and good wine. He got there early and kept adjusting, nothing like a man who can buy a building but can't decide where to stand. The host opened the door and the room did that soft hush when something right but unexpected happens. I walked in, he stood up too fast and almost killed the chair. For half a second, he didn't know me, then he did, and his face changed from surprise to awe, to this warm thing I'd never seen in a board meeting. Lena, he said, like my name had a brand new middle. I sat, hands shaking in a good way, candles throwing the kind of light that tells the truth gently. And we talked, not about margins or shipping lanes, about his mother's lemon pie and my dad's stubborn truck, the first time we each learned money can patch a leak, but not a foundation. He asked why I hid. I told him the messy version. Because when people decide how you look is the headline, they think your brain is the caption. I flipped the layout so my work would speak louder than my face. He took that in, jaw tight like the thought stung. Did I ever make you feel that way? He asked, voice low. I told him no, he'd always respected me. That's why I stayed, he nodded and said. For the record, I see way more than your calendar skills, which made me laugh. And that laugh felt like unclenching a locked door. I said a thing I'd kept folded up for years, that what I felt wasn't some office daydream. It was real, and I'd locked it away because it didn't seem fair to either of us. He reached across the table and took my hand, like he'd been doing it all his life, and said, I've been falling for your mind for a long time tonight. Just turned on the lights. We kissed once in the alley, gentle, honest, the kind that says we're awake now, and I went home knowing Monday wasn't going to be simple. The elevator dinged. The coffee machine complained, same as always. But I was different, hair down, but neat contacts instead of glass walls, a blue dress that said, I belong here without asking permission. When I walked the bullpen, people did audible double takes. You could feel the rumor engine wake up like a truck in winter. Cole came out of his office twice as often and pretended to need contract clarifications. Our hands brushed when I passed him coffee. Accident, sure. And 3 assistants gasped in harmony by lunch. 2 junior execs with loud cufflinks drifted by the copy room, and one of them said, "Not quiet." Amazing. What a little effort will get you around here. I stopped, smiled like a blade. Amazing what effort gets you anywhere, you should try it. And yeah, that happened. But the dart still landed because disrespect has a way of nicking old scars. When HR knocks, it's never about cake, Ms. Dalton asked to see Cole. Then he called me in. Shut the door, dropped the CEO mask. They're talking policies, optics, all of it. We can pretend there's nothing, we can kill this before it starts. Or we can tell the truth and take the heat. The alarms tried to take the mic again, but that drum under everything said, "Tell the truth," so I did. If we do this, we do it clean, he exhaled a half laugh. God, I was hoping you'd say that. The all-hands calendar pinged for 3. And I swear you've never seen so many punctual people. He stood at the front with me beside him, not behind, and the room buzzed like a storm had parked on the roof. There are rumors, he said. Here are facts. Lena and I are in a relationship. It's recent and real. It doesn't rewrite what's been true from day one. She has been the most prepared, precise, game-saving professional in this building. He turned to me, eyes steady. I was a fool not to see the whole of who she is. Sooner, that's on me. You could feel the air shift, then he said, the part that made jaws slide, to avoid any conflict and to honor the work she has already been doing. Lena will transition to Director of Operations, reporting to the CO. HR is handling it by the book. Ms. Dalton nodded like a judge, silence, then Jessica from accounting. Red-faced, I had no idea what she did behind the scenes. I'm sorry. Apology accepted, I said, and meant it. Some people softened, a few kept their skepticism folded like a pocket knife. But doubt burns fuel fast when reality passes it on the highway, and reality started lapping it by the end of the month. We overhauled a wasteful routing system that had been bleeding cash. I mapped a 2-phase plan, built a small strike team, and in 6 weeks, on time, deliveries went up, and overtime dropped, the loudest. Cynics went quiet and showed up with cookies. After hours. I was deliberate with Cole, slow grown up. No shortcuts. There was a night on his balcony where the city looked like spilled diamonds, and he cooked pasta, and we laughed too loud for the hour. And there was a night when a competitor tried to undercut us, and we leaned over a whiteboard until 2 a.m. and found a way through it all. I kept asking if I was still me, if I was choosing out of strength, not fear. And the answer kept coming back steady. Here's the twist you came for 2 weeks after he put a ring on my finger. Yes, he knelt in Harbor Park at the fountain, voice rough and eyes bright. I cried. I said, yes, save your comments. A rival firm called with a number that made my eyebrows touch my hairline. CEO, they said, like it was a magic word, no headlines. Your own corner office, shut the door whenever you want. I won't lie. Every ambition, wire in me lit up. I set the offer on the table like a mirror and stared at myself in it. That night, Cole read the room and said, "Okay, coach, what's the field?" And we talked without ego. He didn't lay down some speech about loyalty or optics. He said, "If you want it, take it. I'll be the idiot in the front row, clapping. If you want to stay, we'll redesign this place so your talent doesn't need me as a reference point." He poured tea and like we were picking paint the next morning. I walked into HR and said, "If I stay, we build firewalls, clarity, paper trails, You can see from space, Ms. Dalton smiled for the first time since I'd met her. I'll get my pen. We built a structure so clean, even the gossipers had to find new hobbies. I turned the CEO job down, for now. Not because I was scared or needed the world to bless my love story, but because the work we were building wasn't done, and I wanted my decision to be a choice, not a reaction. The wedding was small strings of lights, my sister fixing my veil, Cole, looking at me like that first night at Augustine's, when the room shifted. Our vows promised inconvenient truth, protection of dignity. In rooms the other can't enter, that doesn't shrink either of us after that. We danced, ate too much cake, snuck out before midnight. Because we're those people. Months later, numbers up, culture better. The same folks who whispered started asking me to mentor them. And the handful who kept their story, that I jumped a line, they can keep it. If it helps them sleep, I know the hours. The 1:07 a.m. calls, the spreadsheets. That saved quarters, the meetings. I ran, that made the company more money than a glossy cover. I know the mirror. And I know I didn't dim the lights again. Now here's where I leave the door cracked and hand you the match. Last week, the competitor called back with an even bigger offer. Outer, board, wider runway, my name on the door. I haven't answered. Do I stay and keep building a place where a marriage is a footnote and merit is the headline? Keep changing a system from a seat I carved out myself, or do I walk into a new building, take the throne, and show the next girl that the ceiling was paper all along? You know what I mean? Both paths are bright, both are earned, and whichever way I turn, I'll be walking as the same woman who chose truth over armor and results over rumor. So here's my ask. Drop your take in the comments. Tell me what you'd choose and why. Tell me where I'm right or wrong. Tell me when you judged a book by its cover and got humbled, or when you had to hide parts of yourself just to get a fair shot. Let's talk bias. Merit as love that doesn't cost you your power. And if this hit a nerve or healed one hit, subscribe, share it with the person who needs that little nudge, and tell me one brave thing you're doing this month. I'm listening.